Latin America has always been a difficult region for Ukrainian diplomacy. Of the 33 countries on the continent, Ukrainian embassies are present in only 6 of them. Meanwhile, Russia has been working in the region for years, establishing economic ties, spreading Kremlin propaganda. For example, the leader of Brazil previously spoke ambiguously about Russia's war against Ukraine. The reason experts say is trade with the Federation and long-term diplomatic ties between the countries.
We should not forget that if we talk about trade and economic cooperation, especially at the sectoral level, Russia is a key supplier of fertilizers for Brazilian farmers. This also has a certain component that should be taken into account when we talk about it.
One of the first victories of Ukrainian diplomacy in the region was the condemnation of Russian aggression against Ukraine by 20 Latin American countries. The corresponding resolution was adopted at the end of October last year.
We stand in solidarity with the people of Ukraine that are suffering from an unjustified and provoked Russian aggression and call on all countries of the Americas to join in the implementation of the peace formula to achieve a comprehensive, just and lasting peace in Ukraine, consistent with the UN Charter from the Foro America Libre resolution.
Among the leaders of the countries in the region, the president of Argentina, Javier Milei, has been in the vanguard of support for Ukraine since the beginning of 2024. Of all the heads of states of Latin America, he is distinguished by his uncompromising position for countries that defend their freedom. President Volodymyr Zelensky personally came to congratulate Milei on his inauguration, and after negotiations with Kiev, the Argentine leader announced a Ukraine-Latin America summit.
The Ukraine-Latin America Summit could become such a new link in relations with the countries of this region. This would make it possible to attract as many Latin American countries as possible to President Zelensky's peace formula. If we look at the 10 points of this document, we will see, for example, points such as environmental safety, nuclear safety or food security. These points could be quite relevant for the countries of the region.
Experts also called the recent visit of Volodymyr Zelensky to Saudi Arabia an important strategic step. Saudi Arabia was interested in the development of the Ukrainian military-industrial complex even before the start of the full-scale war. Now there may be Saudi Arabia's participation in the peace formula and the country's influence in the oil market on the agenda.
Topic number 1, peace formula. Last year in Jeddah, we held a productive meeting at the advisory level on its implementation. We are now close to holding the first peace summit, and we count on continued active support from Saudi Arabia. Topic number 2 is the return of prisoners and deportees. Saudi Arabia's leadership has always contributed to the liberation of our people. I'm confident that this meeting will bring results. Volodymyr Zelensky, President of Ukraine, on Telegram.
Amid Russia's friendship with Iran, with which Saudi Arabia has difficult relations, cooperation between Kiev and Riyadh becomes logical. The task of Ukrainian diplomacy today is to bring as many countries as possible out of neutral status in relation to Russia, especially such strong players on the world stage as Saudi Arabia.
Our task in this matter is to slightly undermine this attempt at neutrality and guide the Saudis towards a more pro-Ukrainian diplomatic position. Saudi Arabia is a state that lays claim to a certain leadership both in the global south as a whole and in the Middle East, as one of the richest states with a fairly powerful army in terms of financial support and technical indicators at a high level. In the second aspect, it is one of the leaders of the Islamic world.
Let us remind you that in August last year, 2-day negotiations were held in Saudi Arabia on resolving the war against Ukraine. The Russian delegation was not invited to the meeting in Jeddah. Reported by Diana Kolesnik, Larisa Zubenko, UATV News.